Now more than ever, innovative technologies are fueling change and sparking new ways of thinking. Collaboration between corporations and startups is key to staying at the forefront of these trends. However, finding the right startups can be expensive, time-consuming, and ineffective. But Plug and Play is here to help. As a corporate partner, you will gain access to a whole ecosystem of innovation. Discover startups that meet your tech interests. Stay updated on the latest trends and network with industry peers. We will help you during every stage of your innovation journey, no matter where you are and where you want to go. Get in touch today.
Hello, everybody. We're live from Silicon Valley. Welcome to the third day of Plug and Play Fall Summit 2021. My name is Omer Gozin. I globally oversee our new materials and packaging, food and beverage, sustainability, and ag tech platforms. And today is our third day of our expo, and this is batch 12 new materials and packaging. And we have prepared a full day of incredible information, amazing startups, keynote speaker, and an award ceremony for you today. And I'm really excited to be addressing all of you today. Unfortunately from my living room, but hopefully the next time we see each other, it is going to be in person. I would like to cover a few of our housekeeping items today. So the startups that we're going to be presenting for our batch 12 today will be pitching for 4 minutes. Unfortunately, at this time, due to the virtual environment, we will not be taking any Q&A. However, there will be a poll that will launch after every startup pitch, so that you can connect with them after each session. So please make sure that you utilize the polls to connect with our startups. First of all, a big congratulations to our batch 12 startups. I still remember the day I joined the company and we were running our batch 3 expo. That was 4.5 years ago. You can see now we have some amazing talent in the room that I look forward to the pitches in a moment. And today's topics that we're going to be covering under new materials and packaging are in additives and coatings, new and sustainable materials, packaging and traceability, and of course, the hot topic is the environmental impact of all of the technologies that we're going to be seeing today. Just a quick snapshot of batch 12s, and I'm really grateful that our team has put these together, because this is a program for our startups and our corporate partners. So everything that we do throughout this 12-week accelerator program is for them. And you can see some of these numbers here that, you know, we've been putting together a lot of webinars and networking sessions for our partners in the startups. And a big part of our ecosystem is our mentors, which I would like to thank on behalf of our team, who are engaged with our startups, sharing their insights, industry knowledge, and wisdom to for our startups and entrepreneurs to make it to the next round. Of course, the business development between startups and our corporate partners are vital to our ecosystem to thrive, and you can see that there are a lot of non-disclosure agreements being signed between them. And there's always tremendous amounts of momentum in the program through ad hoc introductions to research institutes, to venture capital firms. And of course, for us, startup sourcing never stops. And then we're already working on our batch 13. Just a quick overview of Plug and Play for those of you who are joining us for the first time. So Plug and Play wears multiple hats, headquartered in Silicon Valley. We are a venture capital firm that makes 200 to 250 startup investments a year globally. Then this ecosystem have been recognized by corporate partners that we have. Currently on the order of 500 or more that come and actively utilize our services to source to their technology focus areas and business priorities. at the same time, with their involvement, we're running these accelerator programs twice a year per vertical, and we currently run 60 plus accelerator programs globally. Again, plug and play is a lot of things, but in the heart of what we do is connecting entrepreneurs, corporate partners, universities, research institutes, governments, and we're at the focal point of this very well connected ecosystem. And our vision is to make this open to everyone so that everyone can speak freely and contribute to each other's growth. So in the past 2.5 decades, we've been able to build this global network, and we've been actively investing in and then helping our startups to raise the next extra round of funding or formalize strategic partnerships with everyone in our ecosystem. And our innovation platforms, what we call verticals, we've been running for the last 15 years. That started with brand and retail program. And currently we have 18 industry-specific programs that have dedicated teams and dedicated ecosystems that we were able to build. And some of the latest ones are in ag tech, sustainability, and animal health. And you can see new materials and packaging is a more mature vertical that I will be covering in detail shortly. Currently, we operate in 20 countries and 38 offices, and it's counting. One of the latest offices that we launched was in Istanbul back in January, which is my hometown that I'm really proud of, having it on this map. So this is a quick overview of our new materials vertical. It was founded by ExxonMobil's help in 2015. Since then, we have run over 400 deal flow sessions, accelerated almost 200 startups, made 10 investments, ran 12 batches, and it's been a growing ecosystem. So my heart has always been and will be in the materials research side. And we continuously grow our ecosystem with your help. And this is our wonderful team who have put together this expo diligently. So this is the new materials and packaging team, but I would like to also thank in front of you to our global operations team to run these virtual events and networking sessions seamlessly with your participation. And of course, I would like to also thank our corporate partners in the new materials and packaging ecosystem. Without you, we would have not been here. It's been a fantastic partnership that day in and out that we are here to help you navigate through plug and play and help you with your journey in innovation. And one thing that I would like to say is there's always, in this slide, what we're looking at is for the last 4 batches, we've been delivering to our partners' needs in terms of the stages of the startups that we bring into the ecosystem. You can see that there is a healthy distribution of startups who have a valid value proposition and a minimum valuable product that can come and engage with a corporate partner and hit the ground running from day one, whether it's for an investment opportunity or a product commercialization opportunity. So we would like to always stay in that light and mid-level purple area. You can see that it fluctuates in between and bringing in more early and growth stage startups. For those of you in the materials field might think that it's really hard to find materials startups in hard tech, but we are here to prove everything wrong, and our team is working diligently finding these startups, whatever they are in the globe. With that said, you can clearly see that what we do on a daily basis is global sourcing, whether it's in Asia, in Europe, in the Americas. We are connected to these startups, and we are connecting them with you. As I said, we're graduating our batch 12 startups today, and we're already working on batch 13. Here is a sneak preview of what the team is working on and how we're going to be aligning our batch 13 with our corporate partners on the anchor partnership level. So digitalization, circularity, material reduction will be the key focal points of our batch 13 that I'm already excited for. So this was a quick overview of new materials and packaging. Please get in touch with us if you'd like to learn more. For the sake of time here, we have a packed agenda. Next up is, I'm actually very excited to announce my dearest friend, Victoire de Margerie from France. Victoire and I, we met 3 years ago in San Francisco, and then I visited her at her backyard in Nancy, France, which I'm gonna get into at the World Materials Forum. So I would like to give you a quick biography of Victoire here. You know, she has the ears and the eyes to the materials industry. So Victoire is the majority shareholder and executive chairman of Rondel Industrie and a board of director at Arkema and Eurazeo. In 2020, she was elected as the chair of the supervisory board of Accelerator. And since 2014, she is also the founder and the vice chairman of World Materials Forum, which I'm also a fellow of. And since 2016, a board of directors at the Université de Lorraine. Since 2019, a member of the National Academy of Technologies of France. And since 2021, a board of directors at Mainz Paris Tech. As you can see, she has an amazing resume that we would have to dedicate this entire expo for. But without further ado, I would like to ask Victoire to unmute herself and deliver our keynote for the batch 12 of the New Materials and Packaging Expo. Victoire, it's a great honor to have you here today. And thank you very much for being with us.
Thank you, Omer. It's a real pleasure for me as well to be here. And I was very honored to be invited by you and by Plug and Play. And I wish to start this presentation by thanking the whole team who has supported the preparation of this presentation, including Sophia. So, Omer, you've asked me to present what we do at World Materials Forum in Nancy, and you mentioned you're a fellow. We are very happy you're a fellow as well. So what we have tried to do, we started this 8 years ago, and our mantra was to show that we could decouple economic growth from the use of our resources. And not only decouple economic growth from the use of our resources, but while fulfilling the needs of our citizens and while creating value for our industries. Why decoupling is an absolute must is what I shall be describing in a few moments. What is the approach that we have adopted to make things happen, the tools that we have developed over the previous years, and why we now think we need to focus and be quick. So decoupling, why is it an absolute must? The key thing, of course, as you know, we have one inhabitant of the earth, he needs food and housing. But when he or she lives in a city, he or she needs different types of food and different type of housing. When you are in an agricultural environment, usually your house only has one store, and your food is not packaged because you grow it in your garden. Of course, when you are in an urban environment, you are in multi-store houses, and your food is being packaged. So you use different types of materials if you live in the countryside or if you live in a city. And same thing, if you are a member of a poor person in the population or a middle-class person, you use different types of things. When you join the middle class, you start using mobility, you start using connectivity, you use household equipment, and you also travel. So again, you use different types of materials. And if you look at the figures you have on these slides, I mean, the world population was 3 billion inhabitants in 1960, of which 1/3 was living in major cities, and only 15% were members of the middle class. If you look at what we have today, we have doubled the population, we have nearly doubled the urban population, and we have tripled the middle class population. So it's not only an acceleration of the population of the planet, but it is really exponential due to the fact of this growing proportion of urban population and growing proportion of middle class. And on top of this, not only do we have to cover the needs of a growing population and a growing population that lives in big cities and that belong to the middle class, but we've added supplementary constraints. And we've added those constraints for good purposes. Because if you think about electrification and digitalization, you do this usually to improve the environmental footprint that we live in. But the first impact of this electrification and digitalization impact is exactly reverse, because we add, by electrification and digitalization, more use of our natural resources rather than reducing it. Of course, the scope will be to reduce it, but the first impact will be a huge negative impact, at least until we will be becoming better and better in recycling or reusing or diminishing the materials footprint of every of our usage. And this brings me to what we call our motto: using smarter, less, and longer. Smarter, just to give you an example, a car utilization rate today is about 5%. By the way, it's already better than it was a few years ago, because thanks to Uber and those guys, we've moved up from 3 to 5%. But we are still at 5%, whereas we use airplanes at 70%. So what would happen if we were to reach utilization rate even at 20%? Of course, we would use much less materials for delivering much more travel and better connection between, for example, suburbs and downtowns in major cities. Using less. Today, for a smartphone that weighs between 100 and 200 grams, we use between 50 and 70 kilos of raw materials. Why? Because we have various steps of manufacturing those smartphones, and on each of those steps, we have various waste, and those waste are not even recycled. So today, if we say, for example, that we will replace an event in person by a digital event, we might have the impression that we are using much less material because we just talk, but we are using much more materials because the use of digital means huge use of raw materials, which is not obvious. And using longer, of course, is a good example. We all know that we are developing batteries for cars, but at the end of life of these batteries for cars, they usually last 3, 4, 5 years. We can reuse them in residential application. And if we can do energy storage for our homes with batteries that used to be used on our cars, that's a great example of using longer raw materials. And how do we make this happen? Because smarter, less, and longer are wonderful objectives, but we still need to make it happen. And there we need lots of innovation. And Omer said that he so much believes in material science, and material science, yes, will underpin all the changes that we need all along the supply chain to deliver this better environmental footprint with such a growing population and with such growing environmental constraints. And therefore, we need collective intelligence. Not one person will find the solution to the problem. We need to have everybody around the table. Industry leaders, non-governmental associations, key opinion leaders, using academia, experts. We just need to sit around the same table, confront our points of view, use proper facts and figures, and develop solutions. So, since we started World Materials Forum, we have developed every year a new tool. The first year, in 2016, we decided to have some KPIs, non-financial KPIs, that would help us to track progress on using materials smarter, less, and longer. In 2017, we had a great suggestion from our Japanese colleagues, because we have strong Japanese partners from the start. And they came to Nancy and they say, you know, in our Japanese culture, breakthrough innovation is complicated because, I mean, the purpose of the Japanese society is to have a consensus. So if somebody comes with a breakthrough innovation, he breaks the consensus. So nobody wants to break the consensus. So you need to help us, the big Japanese groups, to foster breakthrough innovation. How can you do that? And we said, well, it's a great idea, but what do you expect from us? And said, well, you should try and select for us some top startups who, for example, would come from California. You will not be surprised that Japanese were looking at California with great interest. And if you could try and bring them to talk with us or us to talk with them, it would be wonderful. So we created our startup challenge, and our startup challenge, I will comment it a little bit later, has become a great success. And we are really connecting big groups and startups from all around the world. And that's how, of course, we got to meet Plug and Play, because we have some common scopes in common. In 2018, sorry, I just needed some. In 2018, we created our criticality assessment, because we quickly realized that if we want to adopt all of those breakthrough innovations, we also need to identify what are the materials that are difficult to find, or that will be difficult to find or access to in the coming years. So we took the Mendeleev table, and we tried, and I will show you a bit later, to show what are the materials we need to be extremely careful with if we want to be able to accomplish our mission. In 2019, we created our local chapters. You will not be surprised that we started with California, but we also now have our local chapter in Australia and Japan. And I will explain to you a little bit later what we do during our meetings in those local chapters. And of course, in 2020, we came really to the conclusion that we had not only to prioritize connection between big groups and startups, prioritize some materials where we had to look at, we also have to prioritize technologies. And we think if EV batteries had been prioritized before, if we had been able to focus cooperative R&D work and capital expenditure on EV batteries before, rather than let free competition happen, we would have been quicker and maybe more efficient. So what we propose now is a list of top 10 technologies that we think we should highlight to all our partners all around the world, so that people work together and still make it a real economic job. Everybody needs to make money, but at the same time, we need to improve our environmental footprint, and we can only do it if we work together. So our KPIs, I will try and give only 2 or 3 examples. You have 10 KPIs here, and it's a little bit of a balanced scorecard approach. What we have tried to do is, of course, in the end, we want to reduce CO2 emissions. But if we just focus on reducing CO2 emissions, it's too late. We need to work upstream on what are the key things that will drive our CO2 emissions. And I will give you a few examples. One is the buy to use. This is what I gave a little bit earlier when I said that for a smartphone that has between 100 and 200 grams, we need 70 kilos of raw materials, and it's not normal. We need to reduce this amount of raw materials that we use all along the supply chain to finally produce a smartphone. The buy to use example, by the way, was developed by the aircraft industry, because they were the first one who said we really need to reduce the raw material footprint, because in the end we need our aircraft to be lighter and lighter so that we use less kerosene. But this buy to use approach now needs to be used by all industries, and we can have wonderful impact if we understand the supply chain from the raw material to the end product, because we can really work on every step on the supply chain to reduce the use of raw material. So one example among many other ones, and I will give you the next slide, the batteries, how we can get goal setting for EV batteries. In 2019, we had a very interesting session, plenary session on EV batteries, and we could give a few examples on how we want to be smarter, less and longer in the use of raw materials for batteries, smarter by improving the charge and discharge rates, smarter by improving the energy density, less by accessing less critical materials, but also by recycling better and more our batteries, and longer by improving the number of cycles and by giving a second life to those batteries. Our startup and scale-up challenges. So here I will give you a certain number of examples of those who received our Grand Prix. Our Grand Prix is $60,000 cash, plus meetings that are organized one-to-one with top CEOs of major corporations in the world that are of interest for the startups. And then I will give you a number of other examples of startups that were nominated, so didn't receive the Grand Prix, but who have achieved great success over the past years. Just to give you an example of who is our jury, I have the honor of chairing the jury, and inside the jury, we have a top multinational representative. We have the president of the petrochemical division of BASF, the German group. We have the president of the chemical division of Total. We have the CEO of Excel, Thermoset Composites, a very well-known US company that is also very well-known in Europe because the A50, so the Airbus A350, was manufactured while using only the thermoset composite from Excel. So German-French aircraft using US composites. It's an interesting example of international cooperation. We also have the chief technical officer of Siemens Group. We have the head of the materials department of Stanford. We have the head of the EV batteries department at McGill in Canada, the chief scientific officer of the most well-known scientific university in Australia. So you can see this jury is quite agile and competent in materials and application. And that's what we do every year. We select out of a bench of incredible startups, 12 to 15 startups that are nominated, whom we invite to Nancy, France. We pay their travel costs. We give them a bench, and the award, as I said before, receives quite a sizable amount in cash, plus incredible connection with top-level CEOs. So here you can see over the last 6 years, we've had 6 Grand Prix, and you can see, you will be happy, out of the 6, 4 Americans. So you can see that we in Europe, we are recognizing, we are meritocrats. We recognize the best wherever they come from, and 2 from Europe, 1 German and 1 French. Citrine is a great company from Redwood in California, and they do AI for accelerated materials development, materials discovery. As you could see here, they raised already $20 million in Series B funding in 2019. They are really an impressive company. Kuberg have developed non-flammable liquid electrolyte for very safe metal lithium batteries. They were acquired in March 2021 by the key EV batteries maker in Europe, the Swedish company Northvolt. And the CEO of Kuberg has become the CTO of this European group. Membrasense in Germany are developing very interesting new membrane material and lower cost process for manufacturing hydrogen. And hydrogen is a little bit longer development process, but they are doing great things for water electrolysis as a key process for manufacturing hydrogen from renewable. Brimstone is an interesting US-French partnership based in California, and they are developing a lower CO2 and at the end, hopefully no CO2 cement manufacturing process. Cement is the biggest source of CO2 on Earth, more than 10%. 11% is coming from cement only, that we all use in building our houses. And cement, so these 11% are 5 times more than what commercial aircraft are producing in terms of CO2. And here we are very much late in developing alternative technologies, and we were extremely proud and happy to find a great new technology in Berkeley, in California. And Brimstone is really making fast progress on developing this lower CO2 to no CO2 cement technology. Nitricity is another one from California as well, and they do incredible fertilizer at the point of use while using only air water, waste from the city where they are based or the village where they are based, and renewable energy in the form of solar panels. Another incredible example of wonderful technology. And finally, this year, for the first time, we have created what we call our scale-up challenge. So we give access to all startups that have been nominated over the past 5 years, and we wanted to see which one have been fast in scaling up. And this time, it's a French one who made it, because they have raised 400 million since they were nominated by us, and they are developing an incredible technology in recycling PET bottles by an enzymatic process that allows to come back to the feedstock, and really capable of transforming any type of waste, even the most dirty one and the opaque ones, they can convert into pure raw material and redo from the start PET bottles with an incredible environmental footprint. So they are the ones that received the Grand Prix. I will give you in the next slide other examples of nominated startups that have also been extremely successful. Another one from California, Sepion. They have developed an interesting technology for separator coating and now complete cell design for improving capacity and energy efficiency of EV batteries. They are about to close a 10 million round. Fidelity is ready to I think contribute 6 out of the 10 million rounds. So very good recognition for this startup. Another one, Polystyrene in Canada, is proposing recycled polystyrene for packaging application, and they signed partnership with all major polystyrene makers in the world, Total and Ineos, among others. Momentum Technologies in Texas is a very interesting one, because they recycle lithium-ion batteries, and they make lithium, manganese, cobalt, and nickel available in separate forms. And you will certainly smile at the way they could prove their technology. They proved their technology in manufacturing the gold, silver, and bronze medals for the Tokyo Olympics. And they could show that they were recovering gold from these lithium-ion batteries and recycled iPhones. And that was their way of showing that it could really work. So very interesting technology as well in Texas. Radical Plastics is in Boston, and they do something different. They biodegrade polyolefin films, and so they bring them back to Earth without any environmental footprint. It's quite amazing by developing a very special catalyst, and they are supported by the Harvard alumni, the club of alumni of Harvard Business School, and they are developing really fast and efficiently. Ubiquity is another one from California. Again, an incredible idea of developing nanomaterials for better quality of light rather than using more light. Always the idea of using less energy here. And finally, one I wanted to show, because even though it's very far away from the market, it's amazing. It's C12 Quantum. They are developing reliable quantum processors in France to solve highly complex problems. As you know, it's the next generation of computers. And even though we are far from being really commercial, what they do is just amazing. And they just raised $10 million in June this year. So third tool, our criticality assessment. Here it's very important that we track progress on a few elements of the Mendeleev table that will soon be short. Well, you can already see that their price has gone up dramatically over the past 2-3 years. But the price is high today, but the quantities are still available. The problem would be if those quantities are not available any longer. And I will give a little bit later the example of nickel, cobalt, or copper. But just to give you an example, what we are trying to do, we have developed an assessment that takes into account the years of known reserves, the uncertainty of supply, the political exposure of the countries in which they are manufactured, the quality of assessment of their recycling possibilities, the uncertainty of demand, the vulnerability on some core application, and the environmental performance. And those 7 criteria are bringing together an incredible assessment of what is really critical and what we should prioritize in the coming months and years. And with this assessment, we are also proposing solutions, because it's not only, and this is clear in the World Materials Forum approach, we don't want to be just crying that life is tough. We want to show that there are solutions, that they are feasible if we all work together. And I'm just giving here a few examples. We can develop new mines with eco design, and there are superb examples running now in Canada or Australia or California with, for example, rare earth and the company MP Materials. We can also substitute by less critical raw materials. We can see that electrical motors, for example, now are using less and less rare earth. We can also work on scrap reduction throughout the supply chain. We can design new and lower weight products, and we can also improve on the collecting, sorting, and recycling schemes. Here I shall be very quick. You will not be surprised to see that the red ones are cobalt, nickel, and new copper, but will be more and more red in the coming years, and also the rare earth. And I think you're all familiar with rare earths, especially those of you who are in California, thanks to this great project that the company MP Materials has been developing in Mountain Pass, so at the frontier between Nevada and California, and where you are doing really an incredible job bringing a super mine with incredible eco design back to real. So as I said before, we also have our WMF chapters. In California, we already had 3 editions. The next one was supposed to be on October 27th, but I was still not allowed to travel to the US because you're only allowing me to travel as from November 8th. And at the time, I was not so sure. So we have decided to really postpone in January, because then we were sure we would be allowed to travel. And so on January 11th, we will have an incredible WF chapter, and we will focus on 3 specific subjects: EV battery supply chain, you will not be surprised; decarbonation of bulk materials, so again, cement, steel, and fertilizers; and also lower energy electronics for data usage and storage. That is especially important in California, where you have the highest concentration of servers in the world that you need to cool. They require lots of energy, and all types of new technology that could be developed to reduce the use of energy for data usage and storage would be of high interest, especially for California. In Japan, we also had 1 edition, and we repeat it next year. Of course, we were a little bit in trouble with COVID. Australia, especially, we were happy to start our first edition in Australia 3 months before COVID started, and we hope to do our next one in May next year. So the last of our tools is our list of top 10 technologies. I will be quick on them. You can see that they are in a way quite obvious: less energy and water for sustainable mining. As I said before, we will need more and more eco-design mining, which means less energy and water. Mimic nature and biomaterials, so use materials that are biosourced, but being careful not to compete with food, because if we take some of the biomaterials for industrial application instead of food, we will create a starving population in some part of the world. So we are very cautious. Water filtration is an important one. Decarbonation of bulk, I mentioned it many times. Lower energy for hydrogen, of course. EV batteries for improving the mobility performance, and at the same time, stationary batteries for storage performance. It's not the same thing. It's electrical batteries in both cases, but on one hand, you need to make it lower weight so that you improve the mobility, and on the other one, you need to have more storage so you don't care about the weight for stationary batteries. So there are different types of technology you can develop. Low energy electronics, I mentioned already. Recycling of EE waste, of course, will become soon a key technology, and chemical recycling of plastics. I will give you maybe 2 examples of low energy electronics. For example, low energy electronics is an important one because if we work well, we can divide by 50, if not by 100, the consumption of energy for data usage and storage. So it seems amazing, but it's really real. So if we can do this, if we can only divide by 50 the consumption of energy for data usage and storage, we will not use the same percentage of electricity in 10 years' time that we are planned to use. Today, we are around 5–6% of world electricity used for data usage and storage. if we go at the current stage of growth, we should be at 20% in 10 years' time. So it's huge. We will triple the percentage of electricity used just for data usage and storage. And if we are extremely cautious about just applying what we know about, for example, this technology called spintronics, we could reduce this percentage from 20 to 12%. It's a huge impact. We can nearly divide by 2 the percentage of world electricity for data usage and storage if we develop at the right pace this technology called spintronics. And here it's a superb, wonderful example of cooperation, because all countries of the world, even those who don't have the same interest, are working together. And it's quite amazing to see Korea and Japan, who are not the best friends in the world, China and US, who are not the best friends in the world, and the Europeans, everybody work together in being as quick as possible in developing this technology that has a huge impact for everybody. So I just wanted to give this as a super positive example. Another one, which is at the other end, which is, so as you could see, spintronics is really at the beginning of life of the products. Here at the end of life of the products, it's chemical recycling of plastics. Plastics have a bad reputation nowadays. And it's a bit of a pity, because plastics were developed to give a lot to the world by giving better access to water, to food, for poor population, for remote population. That was why plastics were developed. And they have delivered those positive things. But at the same time, because a number of people, are throwing plastic into the sea, people are really now very much attacking plastics. And it's unfair, because in a way, it's not because of plastics, it's because some people are behaving badly and throwing those plastics waste where they shouldn't be thrown. So the key thing here is to be able to stop this bad behavior and recover, collect, and recycle plastics. And that's where we are working on. And the first examples, the first technologies that were developed were mechanical recycling of plastics. And they have been extremely successful, but with mechanical recycling of plastics, we can only cover more or less half of what we want to recover by 2030. Because mechanical recycling of plastic cannot handle all types of waste. And that's why we finally had a look at what we could do with chemical recycling of plastic, which means taking all the bad waste, the polluted waste, the unclean waste, or the opaque ones, and try to get them back to the raw material with the best conditions. And initially, we were not extremely positive. We all, the tech guys, we thought it would not work very nicely. And we finally found, yes, we can do it. And we can do it with incredible new catalysts that allow those processes to be much more efficient and deliver clean raw material in the best conditions. And I think it's one of the things that has been extremely positive over the past 3-4 years, that we could realize that chemical recycling had the future with a very, very good environmental footprint. So the terminology of chemical recycling of plastics might not look very sexy, but when you look at the environmental footprint, it can be really impressive. And I don't want to stop this presentation without reminding you that recycling is not the only thing we need to do. We also need to work on biodegradability. I already mentioned it, and I gave the example of this startup in Boston, Radical Plastic, or also new polymer. And the University of Berkeley are developing a new category of polymer, polydiketoam, that really shows the capability of being recycled indefinitely, which is not the case for numerous polymers today. So there is a lot of research going on plastics, and I would be very happy personally if it can restore a good image to plastics, who were initially, as I said before, developed to allow access to water and food for a number of remote and poor population, and also for reducing and lightweighting lots of transportation means. Finally, as a conclusion, I would like to tell you that all of this has taken a little bit of time to develop, but now we don't have time. We can't allow ourselves to lose time. We have to focus on the right priorities, and we have to be quick. Focus on the right priorities means that we have to accept to share data, even if they are not initially positive for some of us. And based on those data, that we need to work together to develop quick solutions. And here I just would like to give a few partnerships that have been developed at World Materials Forum in Nancy. Arkema and Excel, Arkema a French group, Excel a US group, developing together thermoplastic composites for aircrafts. Northvolt and Kubel, a Swedish company acquiring Californian startup for developing more efficient EV batteries. JX&MM, a Japanese group, working with Synovance in Europe to recycle batteries more efficiently. Also, innovation partnership. Tohoku University in Japan has decided to focus their R&D partnership on only one university in Europe, which is the University of Nancy. And we have, since we signed the partnership between Tohoku and Nancy, 70 research programs have been developed Europe-wide and that have incredible results. Activate, the incubator program at Berkeley MIT, is working together with WM Startup Challenge. And I hope that my presentation today will initiate a similar partnership with Plug and Play. And in Melbourne, in Australia, we have also a partnership with T50 Innovators, an incredible event that happens in Melbourne, that will happen in Melbourne in May next year. And we have really contributed with them and identified an incredible number of super startups again. And finally, of course, whether at Plug and Play or at World Materials Forum or at Activate or at T50, what we give to startups is an incredible visibility. And this incredible visibility also allows them to do efficient and quick fundraising. So I think this is very important, and it's very important that we keep on doing this. Finally, just a few pictures of people who come every year in Nancy, and we hope that many of you will come next year. And Omer, I count on you firmly for next year in Nancy.
I will be there, Victoire. This has been such a pleasure to have you here. I'm just having goosebumps. You've covered a lot, the importance of the materials and the stepchild of the family, you know, plastics, because it's not well understood. And then we have problems with discarding its waste. But we're working as material scientists, and then we're not alone. And incredible presentation. And then I've been getting a lot of messages in terms of sharing your presentation. And then please, all of our attendees, make sure to get in touch with Victoire, because Victoire and I have had a lot of fruitful discussions in terms of materials technologies. And then again, this is just the beginning. Thank you very much, Victoire, from the bottom of our hearts. Thank you.
Happy to answer any email I shall receive from your community. Bye-bye.
Au revoir.
Au revoir.
Thanks again, Victoire, for your amazing presentation. We're so happy that you could join us and be part of this event. And it's always great to hear more about material science and how it's increasingly turning to sustainability. Thank you,
Alexandra.
Yeah, have a good one. For those of you who don't know me, my name's Alexandra Pine, and I'll be your MC for the rest of today's session. We'll hear from some very exciting startups today, and we can't wait to share them with you. As a reminder, after each pitch, you will have the option to respond to a poll. If you would like to connect with a startup after today's session, please respond yes to the poll and we will get you connected. And with that, let's kick things off with our first section, where we'll hear from startups working with additives and coatings. And first up, we would like to introduce Addico. Addico develops polymer additives that allow for the recycling of plastic waste, particularly from mixed plastics, automotive post-industrial streams, and multi-layer plastic films from packaging industries.
Hi, Alexandra. Am I allowed to start?
Yeah, please go ahead, Leticia.
Okay, thank you. Good morning, everyone. My name is Leticia. I'm the technology manager and a co-founder at Addico, a company that enables the circular economy of plastics by supplying additive solutions. So as you know, one of the main problems in the plastic industry is that a lot of plastic ends up in landfills. Our solution is to reformulate these materials using our additives as compatibilizers in order to obtain new materials with good mechanical properties that can be used again in injection molded parts or in the films industry. Okay, so our additives are useful to recycle materials, but they also allow redesigning materials. In the case of biodegradable compostable resins, our additives enable to process them in traditional equipments that are designed for polyolefins. We also allow the structure simplification of multi-layer polyolefin-based films because we enhance the barrier properties. Our additives allow the incorporation of bio-based material in polymer composites. Okay, so our additives are multifunctional grafted polyolefins that are protected under a US patent. Compared to other functional polyolefins, our additives have a better versatility in composition, a better performance, they lack of toxic residues, and they are accessible in terms of the investment and maintenance of the productive plant. Let's talk about the founders. So Dr. Alfonso Gonzalez is our managing director. He has a PhD in chemical engineering, 28 years of experience in the field of applied polymer research, and he has been a director of 2 other materials-based companies. I'm a chemist. I have a PhD in chemistry, a master in business administration, and 17 years of experience in the field of applied polymer research. The market we are attending is huge. The serviceable obtainable market is around $84 million US. So as I mentioned, our business is additives. So we produce and sell additives with an average gross margin of 35%. We plan to sell $16 million by 2025, considering that we will expand our market to the European Union and Asia in the next 2 years, and that we will build and start our own production facility by 2023. At this moment, we produce for toll manufacturers and we distribute to distributors around the world. These are some of our customers. So they are mainly compounders and recyclers. We have also some final processors that produce films and straws. Let me talk to you about for example, different. Okay, so at this moment, we are running our seed pounding round, and we want to expand the market in the terms of compounding and recycling industry. But using our technology, we can attend other markets like the construction industry and the wire and cable. Okay. I'm sorry, I'm having some problems with the clicker. Okay, so as I mentioned, we are running our seed fund. We are raising $2 million, and this is to grow our market development in the European Union and in Asia. And we want to build an inventory of raw materials and products. Also, we need to build our own production facility instead of working through toll manufacturers. We want to thank Plug and Play because we have learned a lot in terms of networking, improving our pitch, understanding what big companies need. In fact, we have developed new additives that improve the barrier properties of polyolefins recently. Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you so much, Leticia. And if everyone could please take a second to fill out the poll that is about to be launched for Addico. And our next startup is Archipelago, which has developed a power drop technology that enables non-contact coating with virtually no waste. Welcome, Guy.
Good morning. Everything we buy is coated. Cars, Coke cans, furniture, everything's coated. But conventional spray coating is very wasteful. Half the spray coating ends up in the atmosphere. It's a huge waste. It's a huge cost. We're talking about millions of tons of wasted paint, millions of tons of CO2, and billions of dollars. Archipelago's power drop technology solves this problem. It coats without waste, saving money and our environment. I'm Guy Newcomb. I run Archipelago Technology. We were founded in 2012, and our entire focus is developing and supplying power drop coating machines. Next slide. So we jet difficult materials. We jet glue, we jet primer, we jet specialty coatings, and we make better products with lower emissions, much less waste, and that means much lower cost. These materials, we come across them every day. Metallics, functional coatings, primers, varnishes, even white paint. It's difficult to use, but we use it every day. At the core of the power drop technology is the power drop drum. This is a precision device with thousands of precision nozzles within it. The coating material is actually loaded from the outside. It doesn't go into the drum. We load it very precisely into the outside of those nozzles, and then we rotate the drum and eject it at the 6 o'clock position with a very precise blowing of compressed air. Now, it's really important that we create the drop at the 3 o'clock position, but we jet it at the 6 o'clock position. And this separation of droplet creation and droplet propulsion is what makes power drop special. We control every single drop. In the next slide, you'll see a picture of a power drop drum being machined. And in the following slide, you'll see a power drop drum actually in position on a customer site. So we have made and shipped fully functional power drop machines to customers. And what do they say? Well, they say they like the power drop machine, it's easy to use. And they like working with Archipelago. Why? Because we listen to them. Now, the power drop technology is protected by patents. We filed patents in 7 major jurisdictions, and these are being granted. We filed a patent only today in South Korea. But we also protect ourselves with trademarks, confidentiality, and contractual agreements. And of course, some things we keep secret. I should say that Archipelago Technology is the sole owner of power drop. Now, we're focused on 3 really important areas: furniture and flooring, coating paper to replace plastic packaging, and targeted agricultural spraying. Each one of these is very large. As the next slide shows, we're planning to sell something like 1,000 machines in furniture, 300 really big machines into the paper industry, and almost 1 million machines into the agricultural sector. And our revenues will come from supplying machinery and supporting it in the field. And these revenues are sizable, and they come from the large sums of money that we're saving our customers. So my ask today is, what can Archipelago do to help you? Do you have a difficult material? Do you have a delicate substrate that you'd like to coat? Please get in touch with me, Guy Newcomb, at Archipelago. Now, Sophia asked me, if we just move over a couple of slides, just pausing to recognize the team, but Sophia asked me to mention what we've done, what we've learned in the last 3 months working with Plug and Play. And we've been very busy. We've learned a lot. We've got over 10 important new leads. Each one of these is a very serious proposition. We've spoken at the Specialty Papers Conference in Europe about the power drop technology, and Smithers has identified power drop as one of the top disruptive print technologies that will make a big difference in the next 10 years. And as you can see, we've been doing some other things as well. So the last 3 months have been very busy. The next year will be busier still. But please do get in touch with me, Guy Newcomb, and we'll do everything we can to help. Thank you.
Thanks so much for your presentation, Guy. And just a friendly reminder to answer the quick poll. The next startup we will hear from is Phiex. They have a chemical technology for solid state to gas sterilization that's portable and non-carcinogenic for self-sterilizing materials used in healthcare and food safety. Take it away, CL.
Okay, hello everyone. My name is CL Tan and I'm the CEO and co-founder of Phiex Technologies. Really thrilled to be here today and excited to share with you what we're working on. So the problem we're addressing is one of pathogen management and contamination management. Problem is, in a variety of industries, there's still no good solution for these costly problems. On the medical side, there are issues that are and opportunities opening up with regulation of the main sterilization technology, and also opportunities as we do more care at home. And on the food side, food spoilage and food safety issues remain a major problem to these industries. So at Phiex, our solution is, why don't we simplify the supply chain and or extend with interactive materials? So with your packaging materials, we can either simplify the supply chain by replacing the need for a third-party contract sterilizer, or in other applications, extend the pathogen management capacity within your food or your medical product with your packaging on an ongoing basis. So here's how the technology works. So we make a dry powder additive that gets extruded into the film and or non-woven materials. There's two technologies. One either allows activation with exposure to ambient light. The other allows for ongoing activation where there's humidity within the packaging environment. And two things about this: one, it's on parity with existing materials from a cost perspective, and two is we can control and customize the concentration for the particular use case. Our technology is safe and it's effective. So the microatmosphere of sterilant that we release is chlorine dioxide. It's not chlorine. Chlorine dioxide has been used for about 100 years in the US for its safety and its compatibility environmentally and with humans. And also we have plenty of third-party data showing the efficacy of our materials against pathogens. Just high-level regulatory status: chlorine dioxide is known to the major regulatory bodies in the US and has a grasp for a variety of applications, as you can see on the slide. That includes food and medical applications. In terms of traction, we launched last year as a business. We are already generating revenue and have a number of pilots that are starting this quarter and next quarter, and really excited to scale up next year and in the coming years. We are going against the primary sterilization for medical device only. Our materials will augment sterilization and mitigation of pathogens for other applications. And our team comes from the packaging industry and also with novel technologies. A couple of things I want to point out. So our CTO was a former CTO of the largest packaging company at the time, and also comes from medical device background. And our CEO has decades of regulatory experience within plastics and medical packaging. And so we've gotten a lot of progress within plug and play, really excited for a busy next quarter. And then finally, if you are in the food space or the medical space, we would love to talk to see how we can innovate together. Thank you so much.
Thank you, CL. And just another reminder to answer the quick poll. And next, I would like to introduce HygraTek. HygraTek is currently developing the next generation of cost-effective and energy-efficient liquid separation solutions, combined with a patent-pending membrane technology that essentially strains oil from water. Welcome, Michael.
Thank you. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Today I'm going to introduce to you a very specialized application that has a very large market. It's specifically around ice-phobic coatings. And an ice-phobic coating is a coating that actually reduces the adhesion of ice. The opportunity, the opportunity is a very large market, and it was actually spoken about earlier, but we're talking about a very different mousetrap to actually solve the fundamental problem of energy storage. So energy storage is recognized as one of the solutions that's required in order to enable renewable energy to both address the intermittency as well as the peak power demand reduction. All of you, of course, have heard lots about electrical energy storage, or otherwise known as batteries. And today I'm going to be speaking to you about a thermal battery. This is all very important because not only in terms of the demand for climate change because of renewable energy, but there is, as we heard about, renewed commitment to global decarbonization and the electrification of everything. Our solution is a back to the future solution. Back in the days before refrigerators, there were ice boxes. So we are fundamentally enabling using our ice-phobic coating to create ice that allows one to address cold energy storage. As you'll see from the upper right-hand side, we are able to provide the peak demand at the time of day with the highest hourly energy rate. So the very dark green at peak is where energy prices become extremely expensive, and seasonally, typically, for most places, summer is the peak demand which occurs. We are no different than any other energy storage in the form that we shift energy requirements from peak to off-peak. There have been many previous challenges associated with thermal storage that have really led to shortcomings. The most important is system lifetime. The system lifetime is really important because the reason why, in our opinion, that solar energy and wind have been so successful is these are long-term assets that have been able to be financialized and have interest rates that support long-term investment. We believe our coatings enable thermal energy storage solutions to also achieve all the benefits associated with this financialization, which is a fancy word of saying we will have immediate cash flow for customers that actually implement these solutions. This is a real-world example of our ice-phobic coatings at play. These are on solar panels, but what you can see in terms of the middle strip is that without any heat, without any mechanical forces, simply snow and or ice will fall off. In this case, panels. In our case, we're talking about ice storage makers. And that provides basically real-world conditions and long-term performance. Ice is critical in many systems from energy, food, and water production systems. Many applications that we can enable, all with a simple ice-phobic coating. Our go-to-market strategy is to continue technical validation, which is largely complete, to build out the ecosystem of channel partners, and then ultimately to scale. We're seeking $2 million to accelerate this implementation plan. And we have the ability to do that using a world-class team, experience in terms of coatings, as well as decades in the energy industry. We look forward to working with you.
Thanks for your presentation, Michael, and please fill out the poll that just launched. Next up is Performance Biofilaments, which specializes in developing, producing, and commercializing nanocellulose additives that enhance advanced materials and specialty chemicals. Welcome, Jeff.
Hello, my name is Jeff Fisher with Performance Biofilaments. We are a Vancouver, Canada-based biomaterials company. So I think we can agree here, shifting away from fossil fuel-based materials is a key goal, but what is the replacement? Now, we think we have some answers here, and we welcome your engagement to explore if our cellulose materials can help you achieve your sustainability goals. We're experts and we specialize in sustainable cellulose materials, and we help innovation leaders in advanced materials, specialty chemicals, and consumer goods with using nano microscale cellulose fibers to enhance product and process performance and increase sustainability. We focus on nanofibrillated cellulose, which can enhance strength, rheology, and other properties. We have a 5,000 tons per year commercial plant planned for next year, and we currently provide lab and pilot scale quantities from kilos to tons for evaluation. Our primary shareholders are Mercer International and Resolute Forest Products, two global leaders in cellulose fibers and fiber-based products. We utilize nanofibrillated cellulose, a specific process which takes high purity wood fibers and splits them into thousands of nano to micro scale fibrils via a proprietary mechanical refining process. From a high level perspective, nanocellulose is a new sustainable materials innovation that can deliver significant benefits to a range of products and processes. Nanocellulose, the specific domain, covers a range of technologies. Starts with the wood fiber and can go all the way down to the microfibril, which is referred to as microfibrillated cellulose, when we have nanofibrillated cellulose, materials like ours, and then further down on the nanoscale would be nanocrystalline cellulose. So where can these materials be used and what can they do? Well, we believe packaging, and more importantly, alternatives to plastic packaging, is a key area where our materials can play an important role. These graphs show as nanofibrillated cellulose content increases, the strength and stretch of cellulose-based materials can increase. This may benefit cellulose-based bottles, foams, containers, and other packaging concepts. We find this data very interesting because strength gains in conjunction with stretch can potentially lead to a cellulose-based material that starts to behave more like a polymer-based material. For those that prefer to stay focused on polymer-based materials, we also see nanofibrillated cellulose can add value there. These graphs show as nanofibrillated cellulose content increases, the strength of biosourced polymers, in this case PLA, can increase. And very importantly, these materials can be recycled repeatedly. We find this data interesting because strength gains can potentially lead to thinner and lighter materials, which can overall lead to less polymer-based materials required. Our progress to date has involved developing a range of innovative product offerings, developing high-performance applications. With the opportunity to participate in plug and play, we are connecting with innovation leaders to explore how our materials can benefit performance and sustainability. We are seeking corporate partners to evaluate our materials and to consider potential innovation and commercialization collaborations. The next step to collaborate with us is to begin a discussion about potential benefits to your products and processes and to begin to formulate an evaluation plan. Please contact me to discuss potential collaboration, and thank you for your interest.
Thanks so much, Jeff. And the poll is now up if you'd like to connect with Performance Biofilaments. The last startup from this segment is Graft Polymer. They create polymer modifiers and alloys which combine immiscible and incompatible components of polymers to achieve a versatile range of mechanical characteristics.
So hello, my name is Kate and I'm going to introduce you our company. Graft Polymer is a UK incorporated company with dedicated polymer research and manufacturing facilities based in Slovenia. Graft Polymer is ICE qualified and is now completing the IPO listing on the London Stock Exchange. Our core business is polymer modification, and polymer modification is a key to create polymer composite materials. Our motto is to combine incompatible. That reveals the essence of our business. The use of a diverse range of modification technologies to combine incompatible components in polymer composites. If we will talk about the market challenges and our solution that are shown on the next slide, yes, the development of industry and increasing demands of qualitative and quantitative materials properties has resulted in the expansion of the range and variety of properties of polymer materials. It can be achieved either by synthesis of a new polymers or by the modification of already known polymers. And the polymer modification can solve the problem of immiscible and incompatible polymer's nature. As a result, our modifiers will help to develop new composite materials with a unique combination of physical and chemical features. There are our board profiles. The Victor Balduev is a chemist and the founder of the group. He has over 20 years of experience in the polymer modification industry. Then our marketing officer, chief marketing officer, Pavel Kobzev, then chief financial officer, and some other advisors, Robbie Zomer and Alex Brooks. The next slide, please. As I have already told, we are now, we have a new admission to London Stock Exchange, and you can see our target and listing target here on this slide. Our broker is Turner Pope Investments, and we already plan to use our funds after IPO. We want to install the new production line in Slovenia, where our production is situated now. The second point is that we are going to develop our drug delivery system technologies with installing GMP standard room, clean room, and GMP facility in the whole, with all the certification. Also the production lines upgrades and working capital, including raw material inventory built up. If to talk about IP development strategy, our group has a layered IP strategy with 6 to protect its property know-how, and it is normal in this field, in this industry. And Graft Polymer has successfully submitted several patent applications that were accepted by Slovenian Intellectual Property Office this year. These numbers are shown on this slide. If to talk about the operational timeline, the company was established in 2018 with the facilities in Slovenia, and then in 2018 we already had the supply chain, the material supply chain. Then in 2019, the distinct business model was created with more than 50 products and 5 divisions that I've already told to you now. And in August 2020, it was the establishment of the new division. It is drug delivery systems, and now we are working in this direction as well. So in this year, in March, it was the expansion of the distribution network, and the successful first phase results of our drug delivery system products. The main product was in a connection with the COVID, so it is really a good product, as I can say. If to talk about the key investment proposition, we can offer the most comprehensive technologies for polymer modification. We have really unique and innovative product pipeline, highly experienced management team, strong protected IP portfolio with all the patent applications, state-of-the-art R&D and manufacturing facility, growing global distribution network, and wide perspectives for revenue growth and innovative developments. Thank you so much for your attention.
Thank you, Kate. And we will be launching another poll if you would like to connect with Kate and Graft Polymer. We will now move on to the environmental impact section, where we will hear from Carbix. Carbix transforms atmospheric carbon dioxide into carbonates to build industrial products. Welcome, Quincy.
Thanks. I'm Quincy Sammy, founder and CEO at Carbix, and we're capturing point source emitter CO2 and turning it into stone. Not just any stone, specifically into carbonates, the mineral grit that will form the bulk of future cement and concrete products. And our entire process is carbon negative. We start by having some clicker issues. We start by injecting CO2 from point source emitters directly into the Carbix reactor. Once inside the reactor, the CO2 binds with the mineral feedstock to form carbonates. This is a similar process that occurs in nature. When CO2 is piped underground, it will also turn to stone, but over the course of millennia. In the Carbix X1 reactor, we cut this down to a few minutes and a few hours. We do so by injecting UVC enhanced water into the reactor along with mineral feedstock. The reaction is catalyzed by CO2 partial pressure. Also, we use high and low speed mixing as well as heating to catalyze the reaction. Once the reaction is completed, the carbonate is ejected from the reactor into molds where it's treated and cured into final product. And this is our team that's going to enable the success of Carbix. Excuse me, may have just skipped ahead there. Our team has over 20 years of experience in clean tech design engineering, business development, as well as intellectual property development and chemical engineering. We're happy to announce that we've signed 3 LOIs, NDAs, and MOUs. And post-agreement, this has a potential value of over $50 million over the next 2 years. The global market opportunity is a cement and construction industry that's valued around $300 billion annually, which is part of a larger global and materials industry valued at $1 trillion. Concrete is the second most used product in the world. The only thing that we consume more of is water. We make two primary products: calcium oxides for cement and carbonate aggregates for concrete. We can also harvest nitrogen and oxygen waste gas for waste gas sales with the help of third-party providers. Since our process is carbon negative, we can generate carbon credits for sale on online exchanges. Our go-to market reactor size is about 16,000 metric ton in an annual throughput of carbonate and raw material. Of this amount, we can successfully store nearly 6,000 metric tons of CO2 in the final product. We have 3 revenue streams that are driving profit margins to 40%. During 2021, we completed prototyping and finalizing our X1 MVP proto. This is our low version first iteration reactor, a low volume first iteration reactor. We are raising our seed round this year to scale the X1 to the X2, which is our commercial size reactor. The way that cement and concrete is made today is simply not sustainable. Carbix has sustainable processes and technology. Our goal is not to be carbon neutral, but to be carbon negative, and that should be really the gold standard for materials manufacturing. Lack of technology is not an excuse. We have it. So if you're a cement or concrete operator or an industrial facility operator as well, join us. We'd like to work with you. Thank you.
Thanks for joining us, Quincy. And just a reminder to take a second to fill out the poll. We will now be taking a 5-minute break. Please take some time to refill your coffee, stretch your legs, and take a break from your screen. We'll be back soon. Welcome back, everyone. We will pick things back up right away with our segment on packaging and traceability. The first startup joining us in this section is Nfinite Nanotech, which is commercializing a rapid open air nano coating platform that produces large area, high quality, ultra thin films at low cost for applications such as packaging, batteries, fuel cells, membranes, photovoltaics, and flexible electronics. Take it away, Chi.
Thank you, Alexandra. Hi, everyone. So as you all know, plastic is everywhere. It touches, it's one of the most critical industry nowadays, as it touches everything that we use and we see nowadays. But it creates a big problem. There are 300 million tons of plastic waste is produced every year. To make it worse, less than 10% of them actually being recycled or even composed or biodegradable. With this growing concern, 170 nations has pledged to significantly reduce the plastic waste and also the single plastic use by 2030. Sustainable packaging that are recyclable and also biodegradable or compostable are the solution, but oftentimes they suffer from poor performance to keep the food or product fresh. This is where Nfinite comes in, where we provide superior barrier coatings that can be applied on a wide variety of packaging materials like paper and plastics without compromising its environmental benefit. Here is an example of a transparent coating applied on a piece of paper. And as you can see, with the coating applied, the paper stays dry even after 30 minutes as compared to without. And again, it can be applied on a wide variety of materials. How packaging is typically made, it starts off with the pellets being converted into a film, and the film that gets sent to CPG companies to package their goods. So currently, because of the concern of environmental challenge, CPG companies are facing a lot of pressure from the consumers as well as the new regulations to adopt sustainable solutions. So we're working directly with CPG companies and their packaging suppliers to add our barrier performance to their coating, to their packaging as they package their goods. So typically in the packaging industry, it involves a multi-step approach to add the barrier layer to the film. And this is multi-step and it's expensive, complicated, and inefficient. Nfinite's drop-in barrier coater can be directly integrated into the line to add the barrier performance as the raw film is being produced. So this significantly simplifies the packaging manufacturing process. This is the waste. So far, we have built the first 3 nano coating system of this kind in Canada, supported by more than $2 million in research funding. This is why that allows us to demonstrate this novel technology at the scale that others haven't been able to. Conventionally, this type of coating is only viable for application like semiconductor, but hard to scale and also expensive. Now with our process, we are building the world first roll-to-roll pilot system that will allow us to demonstrate this type of high performance coating to be applied on the packaging at high speed and low cost, and also in a scalable manner. So and also since early this year, we have secured $500,000 to build this system, and also a $50,000 contract with a large CPG company. Still in negotiation with a lot of different companies on the POC contracts. So in 2022 and 2023, we want to continue to grow and scale the business by directly integrating the coating solution into the packaging manufacturing line. In this $96 billion food packaging market, we are targeting 12 CPG company in the North America and Europe. Major players such as PepsiCo, Coca-Cola, and Procter & Gamble, they are hungry for solution, and they require superior barrier coating for their sustainable packaging materials. There are different ways for us to bring these solutions to the market. So often now to prove out the application, we will work with the CPG company through coding service and pilots contract. Once we validate the sustainable coating performance on the packaging materials, we will this will lead our high revenue and high margin products, which is selling the equipment directly into their manufacturing line. So either through hardware as a service or equipment sale. And also we will have a recurring revenue coming from service, materials, and also coating head itself. Our main KPI of the revenue are coming from the pilot contract, hardware as a service, and equipment sale. And we are targeting to start generating profits in 2023 as we continue to prove out the application and scale with the different partners. Thanks to Plug and Play, we have engaged with more than 20 companies in the space, and across the board, they are all suffering from that poor barrier performance for their packaging material to keep the food fresh. So until today, we have engaged with 5 companies on the initial paid trials on different testing for different applications, and also secure a POC contract. And currently we were raising a pre-seed round, and of 500,000 is oversubscribed, and all this work has been supported by more than $2 million in research funding. So our team has collectively more than 25 years of direct experience on developing. And we also have a strong team of advisors who has experience in productize this type of high performance thin film coating. And also they also have experience in the film processing in the packaging industry, and also commercialization of new technology and startups. So in Q1 2022, we are raising a $5 million seed round. This investment will be used to accelerate our product development in the road-to-road products, establish the testing lab, and also support a lot of the strategic partnership that we are targeting to get in by early next year, and also most importantly expand the team to that will allow us to take control of this market opportunities. And this is just the beginning of Nfinite.
Thank you so much, Chi and G. And just a friendly reminder that we are still launching polls, so if you would like to connect with Nfinite, please fill that out. And next, we will hear from Filigrade, which is developing embossed watermark solutions to sort all kinds of plastic at the most granular level. Take it away, Han.
Yeah, good morning. Here I am, Han Meijberg from Filigrade. I'm going to tell you something about digital watermarks that you can use for sorting, because sorting is the key issue to start better recycling. We are active in digital watermarks since 2015, and we developed a digital watermark for sorting plastics in 2018, and we call it the curve code. In Europe, we were searching for a sorting solution so we can start a much better recycling, and we had the Holy Grail project in Europe. And there we discussed all sorting solutions for that were in the market, and that will be really promising for the future. And there we saw that digital watermarks can be the Holy Grail for recycling of plastics. We all have a common goal, especially all the international brand owners have a common goal. And this common goal is that we want to have in 2025, 35% of our content in packaging, in plastic packaging, is of recycled packaging. Everybody's signing all the pacts, but I think sometimes they don't know what they're signing, because it's not possible at the moment to achieve these targets because there's no feedstock. Chemical recycling is still in the begin phase, in starting phase, and mechanical recycling cannot produce feedstock for food packaging. So, as I mentioned before, the real problem of starting mechanical recycling is a sorting problem. We think that our curve code is here the solution, because with the curve code in your packaging, you can sort at the sorting plant your package at the highest level. And this means that you can reuse it for all kind of packaging, especially food packaging. Till now, it's impossible to recycle from post-consumer waste food packaging. There are regulations from the European Food Safety Authority, and there is no technology that make it possible till now. With our technology in your packaging, we meet these EFSA regulation, and we can start up this food-to-food recycling. 40% of all packaging that's now in post-consumer waste is food packaging. All this packaging is produced every day from fossil fuels. So we can here be the game changer for the coming years. This is a too difficult slide to explain here now. Sorry, I thought it was hidden. Next one, please. This one also, next one. Sorry. Next one. Next one. Next one. As you saw here before, we can put curve code in all kind of packaging or digital watermark. We can put it in PP, PET, HDPE, flexibles, bio-based materials. We see a lot of presentations also today and in all exhibitions about better materials and recyclable materials. But what a lot of people forget is what is happening at the end of the packaging. Even when it's theoretical recyclable, it doesn't mean it has a second life. Many times it goes still to incineration. With our solution, we make sure that your package is sorted, and when you have a fraction that has this high quality, you can reuse it for the same purpose. Now here you see your 3D code in a rigid, because there is the best business case. All films and movies in Europe mostly still go to incineration. Even trays are still going to incineration. Besides, it's even a PET tray. It doesn't mean it going back in the loop as a tray. No, it's actually going not. Here you see we did some adjustments to the mold, and you see the curve code in the package. And with this code, the package is readable. Here you see again some more examples of the 3D code. That's the most difficult one, because we also have a 2D code that's for print and for sleeves, for wraparounds, for films. Maybe the next slide you can go. I can tell you. Yeah, here you see the 2D code. That's a printed code. On top of the slide, you see it a little bit bigger. Then right under, you see it. Yeah, when you look really good. And on the left side is how it acts a real. This means our 2D code is invisible by the human eye. We do some adjustments to your artwork in your PDF, and you can continue your process of printing your packaging. But
we are running a little bit short on time, but we will still be launching the poll. So just a reminder for everyone to fill that out if they'd like to connect and discuss further with you then.
Okay.
Thank you for your presentation.
Okay.
And then here's the poll. And our next startup is LabsCubed. LabsCubed is developing industry-leading automated testing equipment to help create the materials of the future. Welcome, Khalid.
Hello, everyone. I'll jump right in. So making materials is very difficult, time-intensive, and expensive process, something we all know here. I really saw this while I was doing my master's. We were working with 3M in the automotive industry, making a brand new adhesive. And it was just amazing to me how it could take so long to make one. They were embarking on a 10-year journey and still hadn't finished the whole project. And I really wanted to understand, why does it take so long? So what we did is we went out there and talked to over 300 customers at the beginning. This was over 5 years ago, and really looked at their entire process. And what we found is when you're making a material from start to finish, it's all very manual and repetitive, whether it's figuring out what ingredients and what to mix and how to mix it, the actual lab testing itself, which I did myself a lot in the lab and absolutely hated it after like 2 years of it, or reviewing that data. It's all very manual and repetitive. So our solution back then about 5 years ago was, this was kind of where we wanted to go in the future. We called it the Cube, this fully automated system that would synthesize and mix materials, that would process the materials, prepare them, test them, feed that information into an AI system, and then feed that back into the system and tell it what to do next and make next, instead of that very manual, repetitive process. What we found, though, is that the market really wasn't ready for it 5 years ago. It was too big of a project. It was too out there. It was very academic still. And so we kind of had to take a step back and figure out where as a company we can directly help customers today, and then this would still be our future once we can kind of put it together, kind of thing. So to give you an idea specifically, we do tackle the polymer industry, which is a huge industry, as you all know, very large. We picked polymers for a multitude of reasons. When we talked to customers, we found that was the one that was kind of changing the fastest. It was very important to create, when it comes to 3D printing, for example, or when it comes to greener and better plastics, rubber, that kind of stuff. So that's kind of why we decided the polymer industry specifically. Once we talked to customers, what we found is we can actually give them a solution that they can put into their labs today and solve a problem that they have. So what we did is we created an automated piece of equipment that automates a very specific test for the rubber industry. So we went even more niche in the polymer industry, so we can kind of tackle something and get it really well. So these are standardized test samples and coupons that everyone tests around the world. So whether tire companies or rubber processors, compounders. So essentially they would buy this machine from us, put it into their facility, and instead of having a technician do one of these at a time, now it's a fully automated process for them as they go through that testing. So it's patented technology, saves a tremendous amount of time, and that's kind of where that ROI starts to come in, and it allows us to get that foothold in with them, get that idea of how we grow with them over time, but really gives us a solution for them that's immediate today and much more consistent, which is extremely important when you're creating new materials. Our revenue model is we have a hardware component, we sell for $75,000 with 70% margins, so it's great software margins, and annual service of around $5,000 for the machine to take care of it and keep it calibrated and running. There's about 28,000 total manufacturers in this rubber plastic space, so it's about $2 billion in hardware revenue for us. So this is a very specific kind of a bottom-up calculation, and around 140 million for ARR. We do have sales. The machine is in full production since the start of this year. It's been running in customers' facilities. So some customers you might know, like Bridgestone. So we work with kind of tire companies, rubber compounders, rubber processors, and we're pretty agnostic. Some of these companies make rubber that go into medical or automotive or aerospace. But for us, it's just about the actual rubber and the production of it in R&D and the quality testing. We're currently growing in terms of revenue. Last year was a bit slow and we were starting sales, but obviously COVID hit. This year's been growing quite a bit. And next year we're projecting just over $1 million, and that's based on what's in the funnel and what budgets we've already been put into. So we hope we'll obviously exceed that, but that's kind of what we have right now in that high confidence projection. We're raising 2.5 million, and our real goal here is kind of to achieve $3 million in sales when it comes to the rubber machine specifically. So right now we only sell into North America, so we want to start expanding outside of North America and look at different markets. We also want to bring our plastics prototype to production. So plastics is about 10 times larger than rubber, so that's kind of our next spot to go after. And then we want to start looking at the MVP for the fully automated lab. So the Cube, going back to that initial concept we had 5 years ago for 3D printing, because today everything has changed and I think people are accelerating towards this concept a lot faster. And we want to be a part of that process because we've already built up a lot of expertise with the machines we've built and with the customers we work with. Plug and Play has been amazing. It's connected us with some really large corporations. And we started looking at some of these bigger projects, plastic prototypes, so new companies have joined on. And one of our the mentor that we were connected to has helped us actually connect with a lot of suppliers that go into Ford, for example. So it's been an absolutely amazing program. Thank you very much, everyone.
Thank you so much, Khaled. And we are launching the poll again, so please fill that out if you'd like to connect with LabsCubed. Next up, we have ICPG, which offers sustainable solutions for the replacement of polystyrene in rigid thermoformed and form-fill seal packaging for food, health, and pharmaceuticals. Take it away, Natalie.
My name is Natalie McVarish, and today I am here to talk to you about XPP Enhanced Barrier Polypropylene from ICPG. Polystyrene has long been the material of choice for a vast range of rigid food packaging applications, from portion control condiments and coffee pods to yogurt multi-packs and much more. But lack of recycling options, coupled with health and safety concerns, have resulted in initiatives to replace polystyrene in food packaging on a global scale. With many corporations making the commitment to replace polystyrene by 2025, brand owners have been in search of alternatives, only to be met with solutions that fell short on performance, cost more, or required significant capital expenditure. But what if a solution existed that maintained all of the positive attributes of current materials in the form of a sustainable and recyclable product that offered compatibility with existing systems for a drop-in solution? Enter XPP, the first solution that delivers on all key requirements for PS replacement in food packaging made easy. Unlike traditional polypropylenes, our patent-pending XPP roll stock solutions offer increased stiffness for similar processing to PS, including the snappable function for multi-pack applications and controlled shrinkage, requiring minimal equipment modifications or capital expenditure for successful processing. XPP also offers significant improvements to barrier protection versus traditional polypropylene and polystyrene, presenting the opportunity for shelf life extension, all without the use of specialty barrier materials or coatings. For further barrier protection, a thin layer of EVOH can be incorporated without compromising recyclability. Because XPP achieves all of these improvements without the use of mineral fillers, additives, or coatings, our simplified structures promote recyclability through the polypropylene recycling stream, all while reducing material consumption and controlling cost as a result of the yield gain for a 12% reduction versus polystyrene and a 30% reduction versus PET. To date, XPP has been successfully trialed on production-scale form-fill-seal equipment, including Bosch, Multivac, Illig, Hasia, and others, compatible with a vast range of rigid food packaging and processing systems, and viable in a variety of end-use market applications. XPP Enhanced Barrier Polypropylene has the potential to replace hundreds of millions of pounds of rigid PS food packaging with a more sustainable and recyclable solution. XPP, for PS replacement made easy. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Natalie and the ICPG team, and a friendly reminder that the poll will be launching shortly to connect with them. I would now like to introduce Arylla. Arylla's technology makes it simple for brands to create and capture value from connected products.
Hello, my name is Perry Everett. I am the co-founder and CEO of Arylla, and we provide products with an embedded traceable ID. The Internet of Things is very quickly changing the way that many businesses operate, whether it's how they communicate with their customer or how they provide support. And at the core of this new wave of technologies is the need to provide every item, every product with a unique digital ID, which is connected in the cloud to an ecosystem of services and data specific to that product. Current ID technologies are very challenging to embed into products permanently, either because the product is itself awkwardly shaped or because the technology is normally put onto a separate tag that gets cut out after purchase. Or in some cases, it's just very ugly and designers do not want to put it onto the front of their beautiful package. Arylla provides an alternative ID technology using an invisible ink to print serialized codes on top of a product directly. And these codes do not affect the look or the feel of the product in any way, and they can be scanned using any phone by just taking a photo and passing it through our scanning API. Brands use our scanning API to then embed an Arylla scanner either into their website for customers to use or to embed it within a third-party application like WhatsApp or WeChat, for example. With this technology, we currently offer solutions in two core areas. The first being brand protection, where we help brands identify and remove fraudulent products from the supply chain, both fakes and products that are subject to parallel trade or parallel imports. And we also provide a suite of solutions around customer engagement, such as warranty registration or enabling a customer to scan to automatically resell or recycle their purchase. So I'd like to let the technology speak for itself here. This is a solution we developed for a customer in the pharmaceutical industry, where a customer is able to scan a product on WhatsApp by just taking a photo of the front of the package in order to verify authenticity and get more information about the medication. And this is how it works. So all the customer needs to do is take a photo of the front of the package. As you can see, there's no change to the look of the package on the front. The code remains invisible the entire time. And then they get information back about the authenticity of the medicine, as well as the origin, when it was manufactured, and additionally, how to use it. We were founded in 2016. The technology has been in development for the last 4 years. We just installed our first printing line with a large label manufacturing partner called RPAC International. And that printing line right now is being used to produce orders for our first large accounts. By the end of this year, we will have 200,000 products in the market that are being tracked and authenticated with the Arylla technology. My two co-founders and I have collectively more than 20 years of experience commercializing new technology, which we've done at places like MIT, Chevron, and the University of Waterloo before joining Arylla. We have a strong background in nanomaterials and computer vision, and we are very fortunate to be advised by Graziano and Steve, who are experts in the areas of luxury goods, apparel, and digital printing. And so in summary, we give every product an embedded traceable ID. We do that using an invisible code that you can scan using any phone. And we will have 200,000 products tagged and authenticated with the Arylla technology by the end of this year. We've benefited immensely from the plug and play program. We have 2 NDAs signed with corporate partners. And I would like to extend a huge thank you to the team at Plug and Play for the excellent programming over the last few months, and to all of my fellow batchmates from whom I've learned quite a deal. So thank you very much, and I wish you a great.
Thank you, Perry, and please remember to fill out the poll if you would like to connect with Arylla. The last startup in this section is Papair, which develops and uses innovative technologies for the production of protective sustainable packaging materials.
Plastic pollution and its effects on nature and humans is one of the major challenges of our time. And so far, around 3.3 billion tons of plastic packaging waste have ended up in our environment worldwide, and the booming e-commerce is contributing to this problem heavily. Nevertheless, sustainable packaging alternatives do not manage to successfully replace plastic, and this is because you either have to pay more for your packaging materials, or a comparable cushioning effect can only be achieved with a larger volume. In the end of that story, everyone knows it, and the package is again more trash than anything else. To solve this problem, we at Papair have developed a paper bubble wrap, which is made of 100% recycled paper. No plastic is used and is therefore fully biodegradable. Our product enables customers and companies to pack every package in a sustainable and cost-efficient way. In order to produce our products, we rely on a patent that we filed earlier this year. Our paper wrap, as we call it, is not only a product on its own, but also a resource. As you can see here, we have paper bags, which I also have here. I don't know if you're able to see this. I hope so, at least. And there are paper sleeves for bottles and paper boxes where you can fully dispense of any packaging and additional packaging materials. And we found these use cases together with potential customers. And there are a lot of furthers like isolation of temperature and so on, where we could successfully replace plastics. And companies from all over the world actually contact us as they are all facing the same problem. And this is to get rid of plastics. So why is our product so special? Well, our paper wrap uniquely combines economical and environmental friendly packaging. In addition, we managed to reduce the volume weight noticeably. Companies now no longer have to choose between low prices or environmental awareness. With paper, both is possible at the same time, since we are cost neutral to plastic-based packaging. Overall, we are completing our first round of financing right now, and we want to undertake our market launch of our products until Q1 next year. Nevertheless, before that and before the official launch, we will already partner with pilot customers to validate our products. And here we see a huge opportunity for collaboration, which we already started with other companies here in Germany. Our seed investment had a volume of 1 million euro, and we use this money primarily to complete our product development and to finance our production plans. In order to secure this investment, we already conducted a crowd investing campaign where we were able to secure 400,000 euros within 52 hours, which was a platform record, and again showed us how important this topic is for the society. The rest of the money we will raise from strategic partners like Machinery Builder, our logistic partner, and the entrepreneur here from our hometown of Hanover, Germany. We at Paper work for our vision of a world without unnecessary plastic waste. And as an interdisciplinary team, we have known each other for over 10 years and complement each other perfectly. Through previous professional experience, we know what is important and are sure to be able to use our skills profitably. Paper, protect your products and protect our environment. Thank you very much.
Thank you for your presentation, Christopher, and please remember to fill out the poll to connect with Papair. Now we will be switching to the new and sustainable materials category. To kick this segment off, we will hear from Silvis Materials. They are creating 100% bio-based materials for the adhesives, binders, and coatings industries. Welcome, Susan. Hi, Susan, you can go ahead.
Oh, I can't see myself, I guess, right? Okay, sorry.
Yeah, that's all right. Go ahead. We can see you in the presentation.
Thank you so much. Hi, I'm Susan Krause, co-founder of Silvis Materials. By 2025, two of the largest snack companies want to stop using petroleum for packaging and move to paper, which needs biodegradable coatings. At Silvis, we're creating emulsions for those coatings to achieve this goal. Right now, all that packaging ends up here. And during manufacturing, it causes water pollution and causes up to 15% of our greenhouse gas emissions. Corporations are under enormous pressure from regulatory, climate, and social to make cradle-to-grave packaging. Silvis is creating emulsions from hemp biomass and high quality hemp from Pure Vision and solvents from Syntheo. We're going to create low cost emulsions to replace petroleum chemicals. Emulsions are found in adhesives, coatings, and binders that are in all of these products that you see here and more. We are working with the University of Colorado to develop our emulsion, which we will then engage in pilots with these large corporations for their coatings. We will license the patented emulsions to these corporations and their suppliers. The emulsions market is huge, $26 billion, and we're going to initially focus on the packaging coatings market, which is about $4 billion. Silvis is creating aqueous cellulose emulsions, and they're unique. Many companies are using sugars and starches, which require that you add back in petroleum products, which are toxic and not 100% biodegradable. Other companies are using nanotechnology, which is expensive. Silvis plans to make their emulsions 100% biodegradable, and they will have the ability to plug and play into existing manufacturing workflow, and they'll be cost equivalent. We have terrific traction with our partners who have accelerated our product development. Our startup programs have given us great guidance, and plug and play has given us access to many of the people in our target market. We have had over 10 customer meetings from Fortune 500 companies who have requested multiple samples. We've signed 2 NDAs and gotten 2 letters of support in this program. This will help us to secure financing and also gains access to key clients for long-term relationships. We are self-funded and are exploring non-dilutive grants, and we are launching our 500K seed round. We are leveraging our partners to keep our run rate very low. We hope to launch our pilots in 2022, and our royalty model will help us quickly ramp revenue. We plan to use the 500K seed round by hiring key talent, securing our IP, and for furthering our business development. We have a terrific team. Patty Ferreira, my co-founder, is a chemist, chemical engineer, and has a MEA from MIT. I am a seasoned product executive and entrepreneur with multiple exits. Professor Andrew Goodwin is our colloidal expert who is highly published. As I said, our partners have provided excellent support in accelerating our progress, and our advisors have deep industry knowledge with myriad connections. We are Silvis Materials, creating biodegradable emulsions to help get packaging into the compost bin. We want you to join us on our journey. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Susan. And the poll has popped up if you would like to connect with Silvis. Next, we will hear from Synovance. Synovance is a biotech company that uses microorganisms to produce natural dyes for textiles and sustainable biomass. Welcome, Brian.
Hello, we are Synovance. We bioproduce dyes using microorganisms and biomass waste. This is the, this is the team that will bioproduce dyes. I am Brian, the CEO. Cumulatively, the management team has 3 scientific PhDs and 3 masters in business and over 70 years of professional experience. In addition to a team here, we have an Italian partner, Luigi Gaccia. He is the founder of Pure Denim, and he brings with him 30 years of experience in the denim industry. He has tested our product in the factory and has introduced us to some major brands. At Synovance, we're bound by our shared desire to make a positive impact on the world, beginning with taking on the environmental problems of the textile dyeing industry. These problems are old and well known. It's chemically intensive, dependent on fossil fuels, pollutes fresh water, and emits greenhouse gases. What's new is that the public acceptance of the status quo is fading. People are demanding changes. Our customers, the textile manufacturers, are facing consumer pressure and increased environmental regulations. Our solution, precision fermentation. We have built a disruptive strain development platform based upon synthetic genomics. Our cells are genetically programmed to produce chemicals, in this case, colorants. We have invented new methods to extract sugars from biomass waste and are now using these sugars as feedstock for our fermentations. We then purify our dye from the cellular material to obtain our final product. We have set up our 100-liter pilot facility and have had it running for more than 4 months. The performance of our indigo has been validated by customers and by third-party ISO standard tests. We have developed a red color, and its use in cosmetics has been demonstrated by our partner in Greece. The global textile dye market is predicted to be 11 billion by 2024. The indigo segment has a size of 1 billion. Our customers, the textile manufacturers, have a strong focus on sustainability. Currently, we are applying a push-pull marketing strategy targeting both the manufacturers and the brands. This is the competitive landscape. Even though some chemical companies have launched products to reduce their environmental footprint, they are all still derived from oil and use toxic methods. Plant-based dyes lack the performance and use lots of land and water resources. In the biotech segment, we are the only one that uses biomass as feedstock, and because we produce the exact same molecule as a synthetic dye, we do not require manufacturers to make any changes in the processes that they currently use. We are a plug-and-play solution. This is the timeline. This project is built on more than a decade of academic research. We filed the first of 5 patents. Customers have validated our performance of our dyes in their industrial processes, and we have just finally obtained financing from a crowdfunding, the French National Bank, and we've been awarded the prestigious EU EIC grant. This brings us to today. We have now begun to scale up the 1,000-liter pilot production. We will do a POC with an industrial partner. This will be a capsule collection of about 3,000 pairs of jeans. This KPI will trigger the next funding round to complete the industrial production and commercialization. Since Plug and Play, we've obtained seed financing to advance our project. We currently have ongoing discussions with 5 corporate partners about co-development projects and have 1 signed NDA. From PMP, we've got excellent visibility, networking, and communication about our project. Their mentors have helped us with focusing on our short-term goals and accelerating our plans for international expansion. When the program is finished, we will keep in contact with Plug and Play because we want to be a part of their network. And finally, we would be nowhere if it wasn't for our supporters. Thank you very much.
Thanks for joining us, Brian. And here is the last startup poll to connect with Synovance. Sorry, not the last startup poll, but just the poll for Synovance. Our last startup today is Innotech Materials, which is dedicated to the development of nanocellulose technology and is producing several cellulosic nanomaterials for applications in biosurfactants and bioplastics. Welcome, Wei Ching.
Hello, this is Innotech Materials. We are developing nanocellulose technology and its application for environmental sustainability. And nanocellulose has been considered as a next generation of green materials due to its unique properties. For example, it is a nanoparticle with a liquid crystalline properties. So it has many different applications. We have patent technology and producing several nanocellulose, nanocellulose fiber for biocomposite, and water-soluble nanocellulose with the surfactant properties, hydrophobic nanocellulose for bioplastic packaging, and polycarboxylate acid nanocellulose having many different applications. Here, we're going to show some of its applications. There are many concerns about plastic waste, including plastic bottle and small packaging materials. Even milk carton is not biodegradable. So many bioplastics have been developed, but they are still legable barrier properties. We have developed hydrophobic nanocellulose and demonstrate its thermal and mechanical stability. Our current production scale is 30 kilogram per month. We are ready to scale up to 100 kilogram per month. We improved its hydrophobic 30, observing increased water contact angles from 77 to 130 degrees. So its water barrier property is close to synthetic polymers. For oxygen barrier, it is better than synthetic polymers. So we can make, for example, a pouch for liquid solution and biodegradable plastic bottle and milk cartons. Even we can do polymer processing to make biocomposite. We have another nanocellulose with the carboxylic acid. We chemically modify and explode carbon capture. We observe the reversibility and capture release capture. Its carbon capture is comparable to or better than activated charcoal. That is an industrial standard. So nanocellulose will replace caustic amines for flue gas or energy-intensive activated charcoal in carbon capture. It is also available for air carbon capture. We believe there are 3 stages, and during technology development, we have developed nanocellulose. We are in application stage, exploring packaging, carbon capture, and biosurfactant. We're going to have commercial product, including bioplastics and antimicrobial nanocellulose to replace toxic antimicrobials by the end of next year. During plug and play, we have communications with many corporate partners, still in active communication, and thanks to plug and play, and especially thanks to Sophia. I'm Chang-Jin, a founder of Innotech Materials, and thank you for your attention.
Thank you, Wei-Cheng. And please take a moment to answer this final poll if you would like to connect with their team. We would like to give a huge shout out and say thank you again to all of the startups that pitched today. We are now going to transition to our award ceremony. First up, I would like to announce our corporate award. This corporate partner has been extremely engaged throughout the program, meeting with startups, attending workshops, and participating in networking sessions. I've also had the opportunity to work closely with this team, and it has been nothing but a pleasure. Without further ado, the corporate award goes to Inks. Now joining us, we have Shane Birch, the Vice President of Strategic Planning and Innovation, to share a few words about Inks' partnership with Plug and Play. Take it away, Shane.
Thanks, Alexandra. Shane Birch with Inks International. Certainly appreciate the recognition from Plug and Play and the Plug and Play network. So we went down a road of implementing a strategic innovation program, which we've since implemented just 1 year ago. And components of that include scouting for technologies that fit the opportunity platforms that we've built here within Inks International. General landscaping activities over the last year, we've turned up about 164 technologies and 41 firms that we've reviewed. And through the Plug and Play network and the deal flow process, we've identified and reviewed 166 different startups. Most certainly without Plug and Play, this wouldn't have been possible. So we certainly appreciate the Plug and Play network. The resources within Plug and Play are absolutely fantastic. I think they're very good at understanding corporate needs and matching up those needs with the startups within their network. Also, the startups themselves, I mean, kudos to them for identifying opportunities and bringing forward solutions and really having a great deal of passion and leadership behind bringing those solutions to market and working with corporate partners and helping them to do that. So to that end, we've got 23 under development right now. That means we're actively working with 23 different technologies coming from that front end of the funnel, which could be startups or other technology owners. And 3 are in the go-to-market phase. So once again, thanks to the network, thanks to Plug and Play, the corporate partners within the network, as well as the startups. So thanks again.
Thank you so much, Shane. Now I would love to announce the Startup Award winner. This award is given based on many different factors, including feedback from our mentors and corporate partners, excellent communication throughout the program, event participation, and of course, the viability and mission of the company. The Startup Award goes to Silvis Materials. In the past 3 months, Silvis has fast-tracked their customer discovery, relationship with CU Boulder, and has created opportunities with other research institutions, customers, and fundraising. We look forward to continuing our relationship with Silvis. Congratulations. The last part of today's event will be dedicated to showcasing the progress of our new materials and packaging portfolio companies. We've invited a few of our portfolio startups to give our audience an update on their companies. So let's jump right in. First, we will hear from CheckerSpot, which designs high-performance materials at a molecular level with technology at the nexus of biology and chemistry.
We need to bring people together and show a path around adopting new techniques, new business models, new materials that are part of a solution. The decision to start CheckerSpot was rooted in a recognition that we can't continue the same practices that we've pursued over the last several decades.
Our microalgal platform allows us to access the genes from higher plants. When we do that, we can tailor the types of oils that we can make.
Let's make shoes that make you jump higher. Let's make ultra lightweight plastics that have the strength that you need to make more efficient aircraft.
The Wing platform is our innovation platform, and it rests on 4 functional areas. The first is our molecular foundry, where we're utilizing biotechnology to create oils that have unique chemistry. The second is material science, where we can apply chemistry to get materials that have unique physical properties. The third is fabrication, where we can build parts and products that showcase those materials in use. Fourth, we have consumer engagement, where we can learn how the products are performing, how we can further improve them by optimizing the biology and the chemistry. Microalgae specifically is such a vast white space.
If you look at other types of microbes that you might use to create these ingredients, you look at yeasts and bacteria, but algae really stands out.
The reason why microalgae is so compelling for skincare is because its ability is limitless. And that's just on the skincare application. You're able to make food ingredients, and there's textiles.
We're accessing new molecular building blocks that have never been explored. To do that in a far more sustainable way, in a more circular way, all of those things lend themselves to a much better vision of the future for our children and for generations to come.
Thank you to the CheckerSpot team. And next up, we have Ubiquity, which is a quantum dot technology company that will power and feed the smart cities of the future.
Hello, everyone. My name is Hunter McDaniel. I'm the founder and CEO of Ubiquity, and we're making an impact through materials innovation. In this speed pitch today, I'll tell you briefly about our company. We've got about 22 full-time employees. You can see some of the logos from our backgrounds here on the slide. We're located in Los Alamos, New Mexico, and we're a spinoff from Los Alamos National Laboratory. You can see the core management team on this slide. They've got about $10 million of capital that we've raised over the years, $7 million in the Series A last year. We have roughly 36 patents in the portfolio, including exclusive licenses with MIT, University of Washington, and Los Alamos National Laboratory, where I worked previously, as have several of our employees. Been featured in a number of top-tier publications in recent months. Bloomberg Businessweek magazine featured us, for example, earlier this year. So our technology is around quantum dots. These are nanoparticles of semiconductor that are very effective at manipulating light. We can convert any color, more or less, into another color of light. By changing the size of the particle, we can control that. Our quantum dots are safer, cheaper, more stable than what is on the market today, and quantum dots are already a multi-billion-dollar industry in the display space. So we're passionate about deploying these materials to have an impact, as I mentioned, and climate change is really the biggest opportunity for that. My two kids, Duncan and Sophie, shown there on the right, are what get me up in the morning and motivate me ultimately to leave the world a better place. But it's about stopping this climate change issue that is really an existential threat to the human race. Our first product is called UbiGrow. That's a greenhouse film that sits above the plants and shifts the color of light for better crop outcomes. And we're working on developing a solar window product where we tint quantum dots into windows and reroute energy to the edges where we can ultimately generate electricity. Materials is tough, and one of the reasons we're raising capital is to evolve our business model to be more engaged at the end of the value chain. Of course, we're going to still manufacture and supply the enabling materials and the technology, but by working to make end products and sell them and market them, we can capture more value and understand the customer's needs even better. We're raising $15 million, our Series B, mostly for capital investments, marketing, and sales. This will be our last financing before exit. We'll do about $3 million in revenue this year, $5 million is forecast next year. So reach out, my contact info is here if you'd like to learn more. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Ubiquity. The next and most recent portfolio company is Ruby Laboratories, which turns carbon emissions into carbon neutral cellulosic textiles for fashion brands with critical sustainability goals.
Hi, I'm Nika Mashuv, and I'm the co-founder and CEO of Ruby Labs. We turn carbon emissions into carbon negative textiles. We produce the textiles fashion brands already use today for half the cost of cotton at scale and completely carbon negative and water and land neutral. Our patent pending tech converts carbon emissions directly into cellulose, which we process into viscose textiles using existing textile mill infrastructure. Ultimately, our tech platform will expand to produce carbon negative packaging, building materials, food, and more. We recently raised our $3.5 million seed fundraising round from amazing VCs like Talus Capital, Insight.org, and Plug and Play, and angels like the founder of BB Stores. Today, we've demonstrated our process at the lab scale and will be scaling up to batch production over the next few months. We have 2 customer orders from fashion brands, partnerships with textile mills, and a test plan with a major fashion brand with $40 million of annual revenue, which we'll begin fulfilling in the next 3 months as we scale up production to our pilots. We're looking forward to building our vision of a world where the most important supply chains on Earth are planet positive.
Thank you, Nika. And lastly, we will hear from Adric, which helps brands and retailers get the right product to the right customer at the right time through a smart packaging and post-sales data analytics platform. Sorry about that. We actually are not hearing from Adric today, but they are one of our other portfolio companies. Thank you so much to all of our partners and startups for attending today's event. If you have any questions, please do not hesitate to reach out to me or any one of my teammates. Also, just a quick reminder to fill out the NPS survey that just popped up. Have a wonderful rest of your day, everyone.